and welcome to My Reality Jeep Life with me, the Vermont Jeep Girl, and this is my daily vlog of 2013. Thank you for joining me today. I'd like to take a little time out and talk about resource information. There is a lot of resource information out there on how to build and work on your Jeep. And I just wanted to talk about a little bit about that and a little bit about where I get my information and how I go about doing the things that I do. I am not a certified mechanic. I'm just somebody who really likes to work on my vehicles. Always have, and I probably always will. That's why I keep the older ones, so I'm not worried about the electronics and the computers too much, because that sort of kind of freaks me out. But anyway, let's get back to the Jeeps. There's plenty of online resource information on the internet which you can look up. My experience with that is if you type in, let's just say, replace brakes in my 93 YJ, and you bring up your information, you're going to find information out there from different Jeep forums. Look at a Jeep forum that's out there that's reputable, one that's been out there a while, that has a lot of history, ones that have a lot of information. When you start reading through some of these blogs that people put up on the forums, if it's 70 pages long, be sure to read the whole entire thread. Because even though he asks the question, he or she asks the question, read down through, because you might come across somebody who throws in another good tip that maybe, well, when I was doing this, this happened. Continue reading and get to the very end to make sure that it's not a thread that was just started and never finished. Okay, that's one thing. The other thing is that, like I said, there's plenty of information out there. Grab it, read it, pay attention to it. One of my favorite things that I do love is getting a factory service manual for the year and model Jeep that I own. And this is just some of them. I didn't bring over the whole pile that I have over there, but these are some of the current ones that I'm working on. What these are factory service manuals that the Jeep dealership gives to their certified mechanics. These things have more information in them than ones that you can get over the counter, like Haynes, or I think the other one's Chilton. I swear by these. Years ago, 20, 30 years ago, I used to pick up the Haynes and the Chilton books. But when I met K-Man and he told me about the factory service manuals and I started reading through these are a lot easier to read and they have a lot more information. So go on eBay, go on Amazon, find somewhere where you can find an actual factory service manual. There are tons of used ones out there that you can pick up for what year model Jeep that you have. I also have, there is also other books that are put out by different authors and people in the industry. A couple of these I had picked up when I was out in Ohio. I believe I got these at Summit Racing. These are on differentials and axles and drivelines. These are very good resource information. Again, pan through them, read them, look at them, because what one book might not totally say, another book might. These are very good books. There is also, this one is from 1946 to 1971, a CJ Rebuilder's Manual. This is a book K-Man picked up at some point, I'm not sure where, but boy, there is a ton of information in here. Then he also got the 72 to 86 CJ's Rebuilder's Manual. As you can see, we have a lot of pages that are earmarked and bookmarked. We use these quite a lot. Another good place to find information is Richmond makes a ring and pinion installation video. This one I've watched over and over again. This one's on ring and pinion installation. Again, when I first started my first rebuild on my first axle, which was about, I believe, 6 years ago now, I watched this over and over and over again so that I could totally understand. Even as I was rebuilding my first axle here in my living room, this was playing on the TV behind you right there. And I would stop when I got to a certain point. I would do what I needed to do, and I'd turn the video back on, I'd do it and do it. Now I don't need these, but these are really good resource information. Here's one here. Remember these things? Still have it. This one's the complete differential rebuilding for a GM 10 and 12 volt. the Dana 44 and 60, the Chrysler 8 3/4, and the Ford 9-inch. So there is, this is just particularly on the axle and the differential, but let me tell you, any project that you happen to do, whether it be brakes, changing oil, pulling a motor, putting a new motor in, repairing your transfer case, you name it, it's out there. The information's out there. Find it and grab it and use it. You know that I got my T18, it's sitting on the floor down here. This weekend I'm going to be pulling it up on the bench, and I'm going to be installing the short shaft, because right now the long shaft's in it. And because I'm converting it to the 4.0, I need to install the shorter shaft in it. And I have never done that before. So I pulled up on the internet, I found an article, and I printed it out, and it's got pictures and descriptions of how I need to go about doing this. I'm also going to pull out my Jeep factory service manual and compare it. I also have a really nice schematic of all the pieces and parts that are inside my T18. So this is my weekend project. I have never worked on a T18 before, but when I'm done this weekend, you'll all be able to see it and see what I do to it. Yeah, there is a whole lot of little pieces and parts in that T18, but that's good. Take the time out to know your vehicle. Take your time out to know your rig. Your rig is something that you put your life in its hands every time that you go out on a trail. You know, a lot of things can happen on the trail, even on some of the easiest trails. You could break down out in the middle of nowhere. You need to know the basics of how your Jeep operates. You need to know the basics of how exactly you're going to be getting out of the woods. There was this kid that we came across one time on the trail. He had broken his rear axle, and he was pretty deep in the woods and really was trying to figure out how he was going to get this thing out. Couldn't put the tire back on because the axle was broke. So what we ended up doing was we ended up cutting a small tree, I don't know, about 3-4 inches in diameter. We cut a piece of tree, and we took a bunch of ratchet straps, and we actually put it on the bottom of his axle where his wheel would have been, and then a bunch of people stood on his opposite side front fender and gave the front traction, and we actually skidded that Jeep right out of the woods, and he was able to get out to the road where he was able then to put it on the trailer. So there's a lot of things that can happen out in the woods. Think about it before you do go out. Get to know your rig personally. Know the components that make your rig operate. I really can't say enough about resource information. Like I said, I'm not a trained mechanic, and everything that I've learned over the years has been through reading and books and finding a person who will mentor you and show you the ropes. They'll show you how to be able to do certain things. Find someone who's reliable and that you trust, and always remember, when you are working on your rig, please use two forms of jacking it up. You can use a floor jack, you can use jack stands. Please always remember that. You have a second backup system if you are working under your vehicle. Too many people are killed by a system failing and killing them. If they had that second system in place, they'd still be here today. So think about what you're doing. Take your time. A lot of you guys out there, I know you've all done it before, you've all heard it before, that's great. I'm actually sending this message out to the newbies, to the ones who are just coming into this, to the ones who do want to learn how to do something. Thank you for joining me this morning, and don't forget to subscribe. That little button up top here somewhere says subscribe, so that you can get my daily vlog throughout the rest of the year. Every single day I vlog about my reality Jeep life and the things that I'm up to. Right now I've been basically kind of stuck in the house. It's winter time here in the Northeast, and there's not a whole lot of wheeling that I can do since the Class 4 roads right now are basically shut down for the snowmobiles. It's their time to play. So when Meadowy Off-Road Extreme Park opens up every now and then for a weekend, I do head out over there. So basically during these winter months I'm pretty much down working on the project that I'm working on. And you know, comes this spring, we'll be up and running again, and there'll be plenty of off-roading videos coming up because I have a lot of things planned for this year. So be sure to tune in, and thank you for joining me. And if you have any questions or comments, email me at vermontjeepgirl@hotmail.com. Thank you, and have a good day.
good.